Hey everybody, this is Zack Woods, and welcome to the next episode of Uprooted, where we're not going to film just one egg muffin being stuffed, we're going to film two. We are going to make something that is actually, I've always loved, but in the last 4 months since my daughter was born, have become really special to me. And those are super turbo quick. I'm talking 25 minutes start to finish, egg baked dishes. So we're going to do some chopping. We're going to mix some eggs with some yogurt, spice it up a little bit, throw it in the oven at 350, and it's going to be super delicious and something that mom or anyone in the family will really enjoy. Let me plop these down. I'll come back and we'll get chopping. All right. So this one is going to be not so fancy, honestly. This is very much a grab what's in the fridge. You truly can't mess it up. Slice things up to a size that they'll get, palatable when they're baked at 350 for 20 minutes and just roll with it. So in a real unorthodox way, we're going to start with some chives. We don't need too many. These are going to kind of go on the top. We'll slide those over. Cool. We're going to do some fun stuff with some carrots. For a long time, I really didn't peel my carrots, and I realized that my food sucked. No, partially kidding there. It takes like 2 seconds, and honestly, you, one, don't have to then wash your carrots, which is pretty nice, but two, you avoid having kind of a more woody taste in your food. So we're gonna peel these bad boys, get all of our waste. I got my waste bin over here as well. Okay, I'll chop the ends off of those here in just a moment. And as I said, this is a little bit more of a just grab what you got in the fridge. If something's close to going bad, which, with the United States putting out so much food waste, frankly, we all know that we're guilty of some stuff being close to going bad inside of our refrigerators. Just, make something delicious like this. It is so super duper simple. And after let me peel that one down a good bit because he's got some yuck on him, but I can easily trim that out. Cool. And I'm actually going to leave that last carrot. This is going to go in what you all now know is my beloved food waste bowl down in the sink. And we'll be back for a cool trick on that in a moment. So we're just going to chop our ends off here. Food waste bowl. And we're just going for little bitty ribbonettes on our carrots. Nothing super duper fancy. Somehow there's some plastic in here. Herbs. We have two different types of herbs. I actually saw in the comments, I'm not sure if anyone else from the team saw it, but someone made a really funny one that we had them hooked as a subscriber when I said herbs, like the guy herb. I don't know how to say it right, but we have a little bit of dill. And then here, what some people might not consider an herb, but what I very much so do, you have the tops of fennel. I think that fennel leaf is just incredible as a sort of a unique texture, a unique flavor that you don't have in a ton of your food. So we're not actually going to use the fennel. He'll live to fight another day. We are going to chop up some of these fennel tops. Okay. And a little bit of dill. Again, not trying to go for perfect here. And I'm going to do maybe half of this bell pepper. I'll put the rest of it in a salad or something later on. You know the drill. We get our top. We shake out the seeds down. I'm going to put him off to the side to be eaten later. And then slice those up. There we go. Let me rescue these guys. And again, guys, we're not making anything hyper gourmet, or shall I say, I do think it's pretty gourmet. It's going to both look and taste delicious. But the point of this recipe is you've had 3 hours sleep the previous night. Family's hungry. You just need sustenance and you need it quick. This is a brilliant meal to do that. So don't worry about how beautifully diced everything is. Just focused on getting the deed done for Mama Bear or whoever's taking care. I'm going to show off now a really fun trick that I pray comes through loud and clear over camera. So here we have some beautiful grape tomatoes. Again, the last of a little bushel that I had going. We're going to drop those, none of them going into the sink, obviously. Keeping in mind that we're making 24 egg bakes. We want to, you know, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so if I cut them in half, we'll have at least a little bit of tomato for all. So you put the plate down and you run your knife right through the center, all the way across. And boom, you've cut them all in half, just like that, which is pretty snazzy. So you kind of get the logic here. We are setting up our tray so that when we grab, which we will now do, we're going to grab our eggs, we're going to make a little mixture, and then we'll start to stuff our tray. So I'm going to bring all this goodness over. We got that guy, we got that guy, we got this guy. And then last but not least, we're going to get our microplane. Okay. I'll come back to him shortly. We'll put that guy there. We got our eggs there. And then we'll grab those guys here in a second. And then I need just one more thing. I'm going to grab a little bit of, what did I say I wanted to get? I wanted to get celery salt and herbs de Provence. So herb de Provence, celery salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we're going to season this right before we put it all together. I'm also going to throw my oven on 375 and let that preheat so that when I have my mixture all together, we'll be ready to pop this straight into the oven. All right. So as you can tell with my first egg crack that I just did, I learned a little trick, probably watching some Stand and Stir at 3 a.m. because what else would I be doing with my life? If you crack your eggs on a flat surface, you reduce the amount of eggshell that you get inside of your bowl by like 85–90%, which is pretty insane. So crack on a flat surface, you get way less eggshell, unless your name is Zack, of course, and you crack on a flat surface and then you drop eggshell straight into your dish. Okay. We are going to aim for a little bit less than half the number of eggs as we are trying to make in our dish. So if we're making 24 of these little egg bites, we're going to go for about 10 eggs, maybe 11 eggs. And the rest of the volume is going to come again from our veggies. That's going to go in the bottom of the container. And then our yogurt mix, which we have here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that is going to be good. So last one here. All right, perfect. The most perfect of egg breaks. There we go. I have about a cup of this really cool Costco Indian style yogurt. It comes in the most epic container you've ever imagined. So I pre-portioned it into this because holy doctor, it was going to be out of control. I need to grab a fork. All right, so let me go ahead and season this a little bit. We've got a little bit of coarse salt, Maldon, of course. We're gonna do, call it 15 turns of black pepper. We're going to do maybe 2 teaspoons of herb de Provence. And one last magic ingredient. I nearly forgot. I live my life basically just to be a vessel to deliver Grey Poupon Dijon mustard on things. And this recipe is no different. So we're gonna go with, I'll call it 2 tablespoons of Dijon into our mixture. Give this a little bit of a whiskeroo or a little forkaroo. I made a funny little boo-boo the last time I was prepping. We were scheduled to shoot this a little while back, and because I had all the ingredients, I thought, well, let me do a little test run. I'll try something new. And the new thing that I tried was blending this mixture, which, if you recall from the Kuku Sabzi episode, which you may be able to find somewhere around my face here, the blender it's a tricky little beast in the kitchen. It has its uses, but I learned very quickly that when you take a blender to eggs, oh my gosh, what a nightmare. It just completely stripped out a lot of the protein inside of the egg, and it made the bites very grainy, sandy almost to the texture. So what we're looking to do here is we're looking to incorporate our eggs, incorporate the yogurt and the spices, but we're not looking to whip this into oblivion. I'm gonna take some of our herbs. Those are the dill pieces, and those are also the tops. And then we're mixing this in together. Doesn't it look nice and beautiful? Yes, it does. Okay. All right. And we are now ready with our egg mixture. I'm gonna pop that there. And now we are going to line our tins with these handy dandy little muffin liners. Let me give you one piece of advice, folks. One, cook for your spouse that had a child for you. I don't care if it's a surrogate. I don't care how you got it. But if someone else other than you had a baby for you, cook for them. That's number one. And number two, buy muffin liners, because you will ruin your sheet pans. And I know that because for the first 2 months of our baby girl Maisie being born, I ruined probably 4 different muffin tins. Not exaggerating at all. I greased the muffin tin. I used Crisco in the muffin tin. I used spray in the muffin tin. These liners are an absolute godsend. They make a huge difference to prevent sticking, and they make life way, way better. So folks, what we're gonna do is we're going to pop in the veg into our muffin liners. We're gonna put this in the oven at 350, bake it for roughly 15 to 20 minutes, checking in until it gets nice and golden brown, and then we're gonna enjoy one. So tune in a second and we'll pop some veggies into these muffin liners. So, time to start filling some muffin liners. First things first, even though we have muffin liners, don't be afraid to do a little bit of olive oil into each of them. It does help it release. Just a dab. We're gonna shimmy these around. Actually, I have a fun idea. Why don't we do an experiment? We'll do one with the olive oil on the left, and I'll move that around a little bit so the olive oil kind of coats the entire container. And then on the right, we'll do none of it, and we'll see sort of what results. And now is the fun part. Just play around with your food. Start adding in your ingredients. Start adding in your ingredients. There is no magic trick here. We're gonna have a little variety today. I think we're gonna do some that are carrot, some that are bell pepper, and then some that are tomato, and then some that are a mixture of all three of those things. Oh, we got some big pieces? Who cares? We're just gonna tear it and swear that we meant to do it. A little bit of that, a little bit of tomato, little tomato, little tomato. We'll go there. That guy's looking kind of sad, little difficult. Okay, we got a few more to fill. Few more to fill. Bam. Okay. A couple of these are looking a little scrawny, but you know what? We'll see how the egg mixture does. Give my hands a quick rinse. Oh, look at this. I just so happen to have some other stuff I can pop right on in here. So we'll just put a little bit of spinach. Again, it's just whatever the heck you had left over in your fridge. A little bit of spinach into a couple of these cups. And then we are almost ready to one more spinach ball here. Bam, 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 and bam. All right. So now is the fun part. We're gonna start to fill these guys with the liquid. If you have a vessel that you can pour easily, I would strongly recommend that. We do not have the perfect measuring cup right now that has the little pour spout, but where there is a will, there is a way. You just ladle this goodness in there. Be sure to kind of give enough all the way around. That's a little chunk of dill there. Okay. Dropping this in. Start to establish a routine. Again, if you have a spouted pouring vessel, would strongly encourage you to use that at this point in time, because it does make this go a little bit faster. All right, nearly there. And I don't think we're gonna have too much egg mixture. I think I'm gonna be able to go back and backfill. Sort of, if you kind of undershoot on each of them, you can always put more into the cups at the end. So if I'm kind of gauging based on the number of scoops that this is taking, it looks like in each cup we're putting about 4 tablespoons of the egg and herb mixture into each of these. These are looking nice and full. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, glad we gave a little less. That gives us the chance to go back and add a little more to each of these. Wow, we almost got it perfect, dare I say, but we are really close to golden. I think that little guy could use the last bit. Perfect. Okay. So, and now the last little touch. I keep saying that this is about finding everything that's loose, odds and ends in your fridge. We had some ends of Parmesan hunks that we just had left over from some meals that we had prepared. I think I made a spaghetti alla pomodoro, and we're just gonna grate a little bit of Parmesan onto each of these. And don't worry if you get it kind of on the, holy cow. All right, next little hunk. The microplane. Nobody said that microplaning hunks of Parmesan was easy, but if it were all easy, then everybody would do it. Okay, I'm going to avoid doing that all over the floor, and we'll just call those first 18 good enough. All right, so looking good, feeling good. I'm going to walk these over to the oven. We're going to pop them in, and again, we're going to be sitting at about 15 to 20 minutes. We've got the olive oil lined one on the left hand side and the non-olive oil lined one on the right hand side. And again, those will go for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll use my handy dandy Siri timer like I always do. I'll clean up some of this godforsaken mess that I've just made, and we'll be back to see if both come out easily or if I'm left eating paper on the other one. Tune back into Uprooted here in a second. All right, folks. We've looked at these off camera and we know that they're ready this time. So we are gonna pop in safety first, and we're gonna grab our 2 trays, remembering that the olive oil lined, we're on our left, ready? Boop. Look at those beauties. And, you know, if you really wanted to be crazy, you could take this sort of toasted Parmesan, put it on a salad. Who cares? Who's keeping score? We'll plate 1 on each. So we'll give Mr. Nigel one of those. Oh, wow, look at that. We'll give Mr. Zack one of those. And the same thing here. Now, don't be frightened, folks. You're going to see these deflate just a touch, right? When they came out of the oven, they're boiling hot. The eggs are inflated. The proteins are, you know, super airy. They're going to deflate a second. Don't worry. All is well. These are an amazing on-the-go snack. Probably, you know, 15 grams of protein per individual muffin. And the beauty of these, you can put these into a Tupperware, you can freeze them. They'll be good for up to 6 months. You can put them in a fridge. They last for well over a week. And they're absolutely insane. So I'm a little scared to test this right? So this is with the olive oil. You can see that we're doing pretty good there, right? Wouldn't you say? Right? Not too bad. And this is the one without the olive oil. So about the same, huh? I mean, pretty close. I do think this one has a little bit more stickage, but pretty similar. And then my little piece of dill. I normally take a bite to conclude the episode, but this time I'm just gonna say, keep tuning into Uprooted. We so appreciate your time, attention, and we hope that you're learning something along this journey, including just get your butt in the kitchen, make something delicious, especially if the person had a baby for you. Until next time, I'm Zack Woods. Thanks for tuning in.